Akkam jirtu barattoota. Nagaa keessanii barattoota. Yeroo ammaa qophii keessan gara xumuraatti akka dhiyaachaa jirtan abdiin qaba. Kunoo har'a immoo viidiyoo kana keessatti barnoota hiistirii moojulii haaraa bara 2017tti barattoota Remediyaaliidhaaf qophaa'e keessaa boqonnaa 7ffaa fi boqonnaa 8ffaa qabadhee isiniif dhiyaadheera. Maarree isinis GO lesson 17 TUB wajjin ta'uun qayyabannaa keessan goola barra akka geessaniidhaaf gamanumaan isiniif dhaama. እንደምናችሁ ተማሪዎች ሰላም ናችሁ? ተማሪዎች ዛሬ በዚህ ቪዲዮ ውስጥ ለሬሜዲያል ተማሪዎች ከተዘጋጀው አዲሱ ሞጁል ምዕራፍ 7 እና ምዕራፍ 8 የተመራረጡና ሊያዘጋጇችሁ ይችላሉ ተብለው የታመኑባቸውን በጣም ወሳኝ የሆኑ ጥያቄዎችን ይዤላችሁ ቀርቤያለሁ። እናንተም ከጂኦ ሌሰን 17 ቲዩብ ጋር በመሆን ጥናታችሁን ወደ ማገባደድ እንድታደርሱ ከወዲሁ ጋብዛችኋለሁ። The instruction says that choose the correct answer from the given alternatives. Chapter 7.1 The two world wars and their consequences. From this subtopic, two questions are selected for this video. Question number 1. Which of the following was a direct consequence of World War II? A. The rise of Nazi Germany. B. The establishment of the United Nations. C. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand. D. The Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Question number 2. Which of the following countries was not a member of the Axis powers during the World War II? A. Japan. B. Germany. C. Italy. D. Soviet Union. The establishment of the United Nations was the direct consequence of World War II for the goal of preventing future war and promote international cooperations. But the rise of Nazi Germany occurred before the World War II and also contributed to its outbreak. But it is not a consequence of the war itself. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand occurred before the First World War and also was unrelated to the World War II. The Treaty of Brest-Litovsk was signed in 1918 and ending Russia's involvement in World War I. It is not relevant to World War II, but the United Nations was created during 1945 with the direct result of World War II. So, the correct answer for question number 1 is B. Okay, Japan, Germany, and Italy were a member of the Axis powers during the World War II, but Soviet Union was not the member. It was part of the Allied powers. It joined the Allies after Germany invaded in 1941. Subtitle 7.2 The Russian Revolution of 1917. From this subtopic, 3 questions are selected for this video. Question number 3. Which event directly led to the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917? A. The abdication of Tsar Nicholas II. B. The signing of the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. C. The creation of the Soviet Union. D. The Russian invasion of Poland. Question number 4. Who was the leader of the Bolshevik Party during the Russian Revolution of 1917? A. Leon Trotsky. B. Vladimir Lenin. C. Joseph Stalin. D. Nikita Khrushchev. Question number 5. What was the purpose of the Bolsheviks' April thesis? A. To announce Russia's withdrawal from World War I. B. To call for the withdrawal of the Tsarist government. C. To call for immediate peace negotiations with Germany. D. To declare war on Germany. Here, the abdication of Tsar Nicholas II led directly to the Bolsheviks revolution. The Tsar's abdication in March 1970 caused a power vacuum, which the Bolsheviks later exploited. But the signing of the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk occurred after the Bolsheviks' revolution in 1980 and was not its direct cause. The creation of the Soviet Union occurred again after the revolution following the victory of the Bolsheviks in the Russian Civil War. And the Russian invasion of Poland occurred after the revolution and was part of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union expansion efforts. It is not the direct cause of 1970s revolution. So, A is the correct answer for question number 3. Vladimir Lenin was a leader of Bolshevik party during the Russian Revolution of 1917. Leon Trotsky was a key leader of Bolshevik revolution and later the leader of the Red Army, but Lenin was the primary leader of the Bolshevik party. Vladimir Lenin is the correct answer. Why? He led the Bolshevik party and was the driving force behind the 1970s revolution. However, Joseph Stalin was a major figure in Soviet politics after Lenin's days, but did not lead the Bolshevik revolution. Even Nikita was a Soviet leader after Stalin, much later than the 1970s revolution. For this reason, B is the correct answer for question number 4. The major purpose of the Bolsheviks' April thesis was to call for the overthrow of the Tsarist government. B is not the correct answer because announcing Russia's withdrawal from World War I was one of the goals of the Bolsheviks, but it was not the primary message of the April thesis. C is also not. Why? Because it says to call for the immediate peace negotiation with Germany came later in Bolsheviks' policy, but was not the main thrust of the April thesis. D is also not. Why? Declaring war on Germany was not the content of the April thesis. In fact, Lenin's goal was to negotiate peace with Germany. As a result, B is the correct answer for question number 5. 7.3. The formation of the United Nations Organization. Question number 6. Which of the following was the primary goal of the United Nations when it was established in 1945? A. To promote the spread of communism. B. To promote global trade agreements. C. To maintain international peace and security. D. To create global military alliance. Question number 7. Which of the following was a founding member of the United Nations? A. Germany. B. Soviet Union. C. Japan. D. Italy. Question number 8. The United Nations was formed after which major event? A. The World War I. B. The Second World War. C. The Cold War. D. The Korean War. To maintain international peace and security was the primary goal of the United Nations Organization when it was established in 1945. Promoting the spread of communism was the goal of Soviet Union? Not the correct answer. Again, to promote global trade agreements is not the primary function of the United Nations. While it has agencies that support economic development, peace, and security were its primary goal. Again, D is not the primary goal of United Nations organization, but it is the goal of NATO. Creating global military alliance is the duty of NATO. So, C is the correct answer for question number 6. Soviet Union was the founding member of the United Nations. So, B is the correct answer for question number 7. But others are not. The United Nations was formed after the World War II. B is the correct answer. But during the First World War, League of Nations was formed. Cold War occurred after the United Nations formation. At the period of tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. Korea War occurred after the United Nations was formed and involved United Nations peacekeeping forces. Subtitle 7.4 The two superpowers during the Cold War. From this subtitle, here 3 basic questions are raised. Question number 9. Which two countries were the primary superpowers during the Cold War? A. United States and Japan. B. The United States and the Soviet Union. C. China and the United Kingdom. D. France and the Soviet Union. Question number 10. What was the Cold War primarily characterized by? A. Direct military conflict between the United States and Soviet Union. B. The diplomatic and military tensions between the US and the Soviet Union. C. A global economic depression. D. The rise of the European Union. Question number 11. Which event marked the end of the Cold War? A. The Cuban Missile Crisis. B. The fall of the Berlin Wall. C. The Korean War. D. The signing of the Treaty of Versailles. United States and the Soviet Union were the primary superpowers during the Cold War. So, B is the correct answer. The Cold War primarily characterized by the ideological, political, and military tensions. So, diplomatic and military tensions between the US and the Soviet Union becomes the major characteristics of Cold War. B is the correct answer. The fall of Berlin Wall in 1989 was symbolized the collapse of communist regimes in Eastern Europe and also the end of the Cold War. Again, B is the correct answer for question number 11. Chapter 8. 8.1 Resistance and Revolts. From this subtopic, 3 questions are well prepared for exam. Question number 12. Which of the following was a major reason for African resistance against colonial rule? A. Access to European education. B. Heavy taxation and forced labor. C. Increased trade opportunities. D. Freedom of religious practices. Question number 13. The Maji Maji rebellion occurred in A. Kenya. B. Sudan. C. Tanganyika. D. Algeria. Question number 14. Who led the Mahdist revolt against Anglo-Egyptian rule in Sudan? A. Nelson Mandela. B. Muhammad Ahmad. C. Julius Nyerere. D. Nkrumah. The major resistance of African independence was because of the colonial authorities imposed harsh taxes and forced labor. So, heavy taxation and forced labor are the major cause that affect African resistance against the colonial rule. B is the correct answer. The Maji Maji rebellion occurred in East Africa to days of Tanzania, which is known as Tanganyika. So, C is the correct answer. Kenya had the Mao Mao uprising, and Sudan experienced with the Mahadist movement or revolt, and Algeria's war was common in North Africa. For question number 14, Muhammad Ahmed led the Mahadist revolt against the Anglo-Egyptian rule in Sudan. However, Mandela fought the apartheid system in South Africa, and Nyerere led the Tanzania. Nkrumah led the Ghana's independence. As a result, B is the correct answer for question number 14. Subtitle 8.2. The decolonization processes. Question number 15. Which African country became the first sub-Saharan state to gain independence? A. Kenya. B. Ghana. C. Nigeria. D. Algeria. Question number 16. What global event largely triggered African decolonization after 1945? A. Industrial Revolution. B. Cold War. C. World War II. D. Berlin Conference. Question number 17. Which method of decolonization was common in Ghana and Nigeria? A. Guerrilla warfare. B. Violent protests. C. Negotiated independence. D. Military coups. Ghana, from African country, became the first sub-Saharan state to gain independence under the lead of Kwame Nkrumah during 1957. Kenya achieved independence in 1963. Nigeria again gained independence in 1960, whereas Algeria gained during the 1962. So, B is the correct answer for question number 15. The Second World War was a global event which is largely triggered African decolonization after 1945. C is the correct answer. Both Ghana and Nigeria gained via negotiation and diplomacy. So, C is the correct answer. Guerrilla warfare is used in Algeria and Kenya. Subtitle 8.3 Liberation Struggle. Question number 18. Which African leader became a symbol of the anti-apartheid struggle? A. Jomo Kenyatta. B. Julius Nyerere. C. Nelson Mandela. D. Robert Mugabe. Question number 19. The Algerian War of Independence was primarily fought against A. Britain. B. Germany. C. France. D. Portugal. Question number 20. Which method was mainly used by nationalist movements like Frelimo in Mozambique? A. Guerrilla warfare. B. Diplomatic negotiation. C. Parliamentary election. D. International treaties. For question number 18, Mandela led African National Congress and fell in prison for 27 years. So, C is the correct answer. Kenyatta was Kenya's ruler. Nyerere was Tanzania's president. Mugabe led Zimbabwean independence later. Algeria War of Independence was primarily fought Felin, which is known as France. Felin led a violent guerrilla war against the French colonial rule during 1954 up to 62. Algeria was a French colony. As a result, C is the correct answer. Guerrilla welfare method was mainly used by the nationalist movement like Frente de Liberation or the Mozambique Liberation Front in English. So the correct answer is A.